I didn't know if I was going to make it. But yeah, hopefully the skip will go down and my tiny, weak little radio will make it through.
I can hear you over here.
All right, I got to check on a couple of things. I will be back to the air chair, but I think we are up and running. Hopefully I got my antenna fixed so people can hear me.
129, 5, you know. 129, 5, you know, we're on a big island.
All right, we're back on channel 11. All right, I'm listening back on 11 now. Well, let me try the Jingle singers, and then maybe we can take some early check-ins through the noise here. The old Tube Radio Network testing.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR. 27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
All right, the Old Tube Radio Network. The Nixies weren't even on. What's going on with that? Do a little control settings here. Let me check in to the radio room, and it looks like we're here. Worked on fixing up the antenna, and there was definitely an antenna issue last week. I went out after the program on Sunday. I looked up in the air, and there was part of the antenna was missing. So hopefully when the skip dies down, I'll be able to hear everybody, and you'll be able to hear me better. The Old Tube Radio Network. Skip is in. So before we get too formal, let me see who might be out there that would like an early check-in to get out of the what we'll call 11-meter cacophony. OTR is listening.
Check it out. You can hear me trying to check in through all that noise. You got the ledge in 553. Break.
Okay, I've got 53 and 24 through all the noise with no problem.
How about 56?
All right, 56 just for kicks, and I can hear you just fine, so we'll get you as well. Over.
Thank you, Dennis. Dennis, skid 650.
And the infamous 650, no problem.
Thank you. And number 7 also?
Number 7, right here on page 1. I can do.
I thank you much.
I must say all the stations sounding good through the skip, so probably do okay. And again, I'll be curious to see how the antenna plays tonight in the far out stations. Maybe we'll get some check-ins from Skipland. They're talking to Modesto, so you know they're going to hear Fresno. Let me grab my screen items up here. Is 00 listening? Is Felix? He may be. I was watching over at Old Radio Night. He's got the DAC 9, and if he's on, we'll check in with him in just a little bit. But I didn't see if Felix was up on the wheel again tonight. No, he's right there. 00. All right, thanks, Felix, getting us started off through the noise. We'll also get SWL number 1, and I did see Mr. OBP, the Ocean Beach Pearl, who is looks like on the meter, 9 pounds and good modulation. Right here at the OTR control point. Say hello to Oscar Bravo Papa on the video chat and give him a 9-pound check-in. Ask Charlie. Did someone? Did we take the seersucker suit to the cleaners? It doesn't seem to want to fit here tonight, and I know. I know I haven't gained that much weight. A couple ounces. I'm sure I gained a couple ounces since last week. SWL3. Got a note here to check in Rob, which I will do. How about SWL5, Mr. Rainmaker, who I believe is on the chat somewhere. He's got one ear listening to Old Radio Night, one ear listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. And yes, 00 backwards is 00. It's like that radar thing. And hello to you. 4570 out there in beautiful Palm Springs. Weather is always nice, right? Especially during the summer. So 5, SWL5, what happened to Levon? I'll wait for, thank you, Charlie said looks good. What happened to SWL5? Let's check in 147, Neil is in. From Kakalaki out near the Sandhills, let's find out what is going on in Fayetteville tonight. I'll put the X in the square. Spring weather sounds good. 70 degrees and up. It was 68 when I was working on the antenna today. I had to take it completely off and find some spare parts and put those on, and they're not quite the same. You know, the Starduster, there's about two. There's the early version, and then the newer version, and then the newer version, which is still 20 years old. And all the pieces are just slightly, well, big difference from the Antenna Specialist. All those parts are really nice with threaded elements, and the stereo knockoffs aren't quite as good, but hopefully we'll see if that worked or not. Conditions holding it until 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and as you can hear, Dr. Jazz, even though it is dark and we've passed our gray line, and we are on some type of solar malfeasance, the A index was up to 30-something. And we'll check in with SWL40 for the solar report. But bad things are on the way, I guess, if you want to run skip, that's for sure. So thanks for checking in, Neil. We got you on there. Also got an early check-in for SWL64. That's Craig out of Wisconsin. And I will also get Kenny, if you're still listening. SWL69 was in when I brought up the video out of Tulsa, where it is definitely not, it's about 13 minutes after 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here, but probably not where you are.
1, 2, 1, 2.
And the 1-2 radio. Let's see, SWL7, I don't know. Can we make Sangertown? Hello, Sangertown. Are you hearing us tonight?
Oh, guys, this is Dirt Dog 982 trying. This is Dirt Dog 982.
All right, Sangertown, 982 Dirt Dog, defying all possibilities and breaking through the S9 noise level, sounding good. You've got a bodacious station there. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it sounds good. SWL9 Dirt Dog 982, you are checked in on the Old Tube Radio Network. Over.
Dennis.
All right, excellent. Good signal from Sanger tonight, so hopefully my antenna is helping out. Dirt Dog on the air. SWL10. Yes, people keep an eye out for the jumping dolphins so we can get Chrissy and Dwayne checked in tonight. Let's go to SWL 11 and 12. Indeed they are. Mr. Cornbread, dapper Dan, looking dapper. I feel pretty good. It was nice to be out in the elements today, working on the antenna, and I think that rejuvenated me a bit. Maybe that's why the seersucker suit is not fitting. Maybe I developed a couple of muscles there, lifting that antenna up and doing all that stuff. 11 and 12, you are checked in. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Dennis?
Dan and Dapper Dan. This is the basic Dennis. Over.
Can you give me a quickie in there? Check me in early?
Yes, you are right there. A 3 and a 7. 37, it lights up and it says, indeed, you are on the air. Thanks, Chris. And the break OTR, go ahead, over. All right, 61, I hear you tonight. I fixed my antenna, so hopefully you are hearing me as well through the noise. Dino, we got you checked in, over.
Thank you, sir.
All right, yeah, the far out station's sounding good tonight, so that is working. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radio is glowing in the dark. Something we've been doing here in these parts of Central California since the mid and late 1980s, on the air at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time at this moment. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers to sit in the air chair of the Old Tube Radio Network, where we promote the use, distribute information about Class D 11-meter citizen band radios, especially those that glow in the dark. A chance for you to check in, a chance for you to take your tube radio out of its respective garage and drive it around the block. Check out your microphones, say hello radio, do all that stuff. At some point, we added in the 21st century some audio and video streaming. That's where you all come in out there watching on the digital side. Glad to have you along and hope that you do something or can do or participate in something similar where you are at a get on the air night, whether it's tube radios, vintage radios, or just to get out there. And we appreciate you stopping by and saying hello and becoming part of the Old Tube Radio Network crowd. This is not a club, just a voluntary association of people associated with their radios, so there are no secret handshakes, dues, or any of that thing. So come as you are, radioed or not. We are on the directed net roll call looking for SWL 13. If I can get my mouse to work, and I will refresh my page because Mikey often checks in over at oldtuberadio.net, where a few of you have already checked in as well. Hello to Fresno, California, Ware Shoals, South Carolina, Yellow Springs, Ohio, Edmonds, Washington, tuning in, Middleton, Ohio, or somewhere close to it. Where are we at? Warfield, Kentucky. Could be Van Man. He's in the van. He can be anywhere in Kentucky. Let's go to Centerville, Virginia. Coming up to you, Mountain View, California. That's the Google bots. Even the Google bots like to tune in and listen to all the fun radio-type activities. Hello to Sacramento, California. Where is that? Seal, Alabama, Plymouth, Minnesota, Edmonton, Alberta. That is Peter and Albert and the Squamish boys up there. Belfast, Maine, right in the front row with the cue cards and a host of others yet to come. And if you're listening, we are streaming live at oldtuberadio.net, where there's a link to the video. If you've got a tube radio, fire it up. Bring it by. We'll check it out. Speaking of Sangertown, and it was sounding good when Dirt Dog was at the microphone, let's do a recheck on Sangertown, SWL 14.
Yeah, I'm glad it kind of cut away from the skip there for a minute. Dirt Dog and I are having a little radio competition, so he was on his President Randy walkie, and I'm on my Copa 2000, SWL 14 checking in, and we're going to check out the replay, Dennis.
All right, you sound good. I eliminated a lot of my noise by regrounding the antenna and adding the element part that was off. And so I'm running the double preamp so that everyone that's going to give themselves a radio check should see a little bit more signal strength, but also the signal-to-noise ratio, which is very good tonight. So, yeah, you're sounding a lot better than last week thanks to me fixing my issue. So you'll love the replay, and if you've got some tube radios coming up in a bit, we will check that in. Thanks for stopping by. Now, here's a station that doesn't even need an antenna to check in, although he has the ground loop around the garden working pretty good. It is a good Sunday morning to Hans out there in Copenhagen, Denmark, Alpha 173. Thanks for joining us on right here, as is it Motormouth Mall would say, right here, right now, on spot-on frequency. We are exactly at 27.085. So anybody watching with their little SDR, we should be right on the 085 line for you this evening. And I think I've got it set to give us at least 7 to 8 kilohertz of beautiful amplitude modulated bandwidth for your dining, dancing, and audio pleasure. Thanks, Hans. Always good to have you in. And we always need somebody who's listening tomorrow when we start to know that we are going to make it. We'll make it into tomorrow because it's already there. Back in the air chair, his air chair tonight, SWL 16. Charlie looking good. It is very difficult to do this without you behind the scenes, but we managed. But it's nice to have you back. Charlie keeps saying he's going like this. It's a straighten your tie. See, what I should do, if I could button this jacket, which I can, but the button is falling off. I'm just afraid to. And I looked at one of those, how to be debonair videos, and it says, well, you should not button the top and button the middle, and it's like, or you can leave it unbuttoned to be casual. It's like, okay, whatever. All right, Charlie, you are checked in, looking good. Let's go to SWL 17. SWL 18. And Peter, the Star Duster, it is so unassuming. There are no loading coils. There's nothing in it. It's just the metal pieces. It's basically a quarter wave dipole, right? And it's kind of funky how it fits on the mast. And all the little plastic, whatever pieces they had were sort of disintegrating. So I got all those back, taped up. I bought some stainless steel hardware. How can you make... Come on, Sirio. How can you make an antenna and not put stainless steel screws and things. So I went to the hardware store and put some stainless steel screws, but I will probably end up getting something different. But I had two other older styles, one of which was actually interchangeable, and I worked on that a little bit. So it's still less than stellar, but certainly all the pieces are there from last week. And a simple, do the math, a quarter wave vertical will work anywhere at any time. It's basically for what we're doing, height is might. Right? If I want to talk skip, maybe not so, but here when you're talking direct, I need to be way, way up in the air. Let's SWL 17, SWL 18. We've got a Mikey, give Mikey a proxy. Actually, not a proxy check, and he was on Facebook, so he is there. SWL 19, Chet is right there with the cue cards, looking good. Looks like you got the X-Acto Magic marker, the new one. Yeah, it's nice and bright. I can see what is going on, so thanks for that. And I know I may need to give Harvey I talked to him earlier, and he was out remember what we used to say? We called it the salt mines. He's out of the salt mines tonight, but I wonder if he's back. Hello, SWL 20. All right, he might be listening. And Harvey, if you're driving, if you are listening while you're driving, go ahead and honk 3 times. And I don't know where you are between Modesto and Fresno, and someone will know that you are listening in and that you have checked in to the old tube radio network. But stay safe. No fair breaking the law to get back into the air chair to check in. We know we will catch you.
Check 111.
Now, this is the 1-1 check frequency. Jukebox 502, hello to you. Long time no see. I hope everybody has fun tonight as well, whether you are listening in here or you have to go do something else. Just make sure you have fun tonight and watching the YouTube program. They wanted to get me a pin that said the world's worst camera. I watched some of these other videos that are on there, and they look great. The video is good, but we kind of focus on the radio here. So the video is just an aside, so that's why it looks sort of like your 1960s television. Did I see SWL 10 and 30 checking in? Yes, 10 and 30 checking in. So let me get you guys up on the big screen here so that you can go about your business. Feeding the dolphins. Yes, don't forget to feed the fish. Let me take a pause. I'm going to see if Old Radio Night is still going. I think so. He's on channel 20. I'm going to bring up the video for Old Radio Night. It should be right here. Yep. And let me go to the screen and fix up the video, and then we'll bring in the audio. And hopefully we're not on the wacko big delay like we have been lately. And when I bring up the audio, we'll see where they are at. Hello.
Bad boy, 21. They thought they trying to get in our free show. They bad boy, put the hammer on. They bad boy, 21. I'm gone.
But anyway, if you're watching the video, there is the audio from Old Radio Night. And there is the beautiful DAC Mark 9 that we heard last week coming in from Sanger. There's the 4 meters. You can see them actually on the air live moving. He's on channel 20. So if you're here in the Central Valley listening, head over to channel 20, see if you can hear them. It looks like the skip is gone, but you never know.
I ain't advertising. Hey, bad boy, I ain't advertising. 21, I'm gone.
But it's the Radio DAC 9 Zodiac Taurus 250B reverse preamp experimental use. Looking good. I like the way SWL 20 went to channel 20. So we check him in, he's looking good. So somebody let JT know. Harvey would like that. Harvey would like that number 20. Let JT know the Wasama Swamps of South Carolina is checked in tonight. Looking good. Back to the local crew here.
We checking in on the Big Island,
And they're checking in on the Big Island, the Old Tube Radio Network. We hear you. We are at oldtuberadio.net. Thanks for checking in. Let me get SWL 21. Let me get back to the screen here, and we will continue on because we
Hello.
Can't wait to get all the radios checked in tonight. Sounds like the skip is dying down. Got the double preamp on tonight, so I'll adjust the RF gain control if it's a little bit too much static. SWL22, that is Tyler up in Alaska. I bet we could have heard him a couple hours ago when the skip started rolling in. Sometimes he checks in at oldtuberadio.net, so I'll keep an eye out for anybody there. Speaking of keeping an eye out, there's 13. Hello, Mikey. Look up on the screen, and you will see that you are officially checked in, Mr. Cobra, with an X in that square. Also, let me say hello to Albie. He says, hello, Dennis and OTR SWLs. Just not getting able to the Echolink to work. Well, we got a couple of people on Echolink. We will catch up with them. But keep trying, Albie. If we get you in there, we'll say hello to you. Otherwise, we've got you checked in at oldtuberadio.net. Sangertown was in, let's see, SWL 15. Where? Oh, we were at 21, 22. SWL 23. Mr. 23 Skidoo. Somebody said give Skidoo a proxy and he might be in. Trying to listen in. I may adjust that squelch after all. SWL 24 was checked in early. Let's head out to Madera Town, SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis and the net. 25 checking in. Did out on the antenna and tuna adjustments are sounding good. Anyway, back to you.
All right, you're sounding good. I think I missed Wednesday check-in, or I missed the Friday check-in. Been busy. Good signal coming in. You're making it through the skip. Glad you had a Saturday off. We have been doing monthly live band for the radio station, where we have a couple of local bands check in down in a nice little venue, and it's kind of fun. I always think of you guys when we do that. You are headliners, though, that's for sure. Anyway, sounding good here on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll get 74 in as well.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, just making some adjustments. I still hear 40 mentioned that it sounded like the high frequencies were rolled off, and indeed it does. I wonder if... Oh, you know what? I think I've got the wrong filtering on. Hold on a second. I think I have the wrong filters turned on. Let me try something here. Oh, listen to that. Hey, there you go. Larry. I think I found the problem. I was on the 2.7 filter, so I might be able to put the EQ roll-off back, but... Oh, yeah. Okay, let me turn stuff down. That's good. I always like to have the filtering as wide as possible, so if you're listening back to your replay, on your radio will sound good. So, all right, anybody listening, you might hear a little bit of difference in your headphoniums or however you monitor this. We just went, and there it is. We just went from a 2.7 audio filter up to, we're probably at like 8K now or more. And you can hear the fidelity just in the AM sideband is the same way. Everything is good. Let's go to page 2 for SWL 27. And I do have the crossband initiated here. SWL 28. What is on the menu in the green room tonight? We have started deferring to Gary. So whatever he likes during the week, we put that on the Saturday afternoon, evening menu in the green room. And tonight he's raising his half-frozen, I guess that's the best way to do root beer, his half-frozen Dad's Root Beer and Hostess Snowball to all of you out there, the hostess Snowboy. That'll make you sick. That'll make you sick in no time. Letting us know that thanks for all the great work we do, and a round of applause. And I would say the same to our old tube radio operators and listeners, which is the whole reason that this has gone on. This has gone on for so long. We cannot cease and desist because you are still out there wanting to get in and have a good time. So that is great with me. So snowballs and root beer or soda, whatever you want, for everybody. And then go out to the patio if you're feeling a little queasy. SWL 29, I was asked to get a proxy check-in for 29, which I will. SWL 30 was checked in moments ago. Dwayne is listening. If we get some skip coming in from the northwest, you know who is going to be first to check in. Let's go up to shortwave listener 31, where Robert and Teresa have checked in and are listening in beautiful Hendersonville, Tennessee. Thank you, Robert and Teresa. Another one of our first, what I'll call digital shortwave listeners that tuned in long ago. I checked the archives when we first started doing the audio stream. It was back right at the beginning of 2011. What is it now? 2025. So, and it's still, despite my best efforts, it still seems to be working. Thank you, Robert and Teresa. Good to have you out there. Let's go to SWL 32. Shortwave listener 33, Bozo Control, myself, and whoever happens to wander in or out of the old tube radio control here tonight. From Batavia, near Chicago, SWL 34, Jimmy and the Railroader and Captain Chaos and all the good people who hang around in those areas, and make sure that your Facebook items of interest for all the railroading and radio stuff is up and running for you to check out. SWL 35, Red Monkey Communications, looking to see if we've got some confirmation from Mr. Bill or somebody out there. I'll keep an eye out on that. Over to SWL 36. Shortwave listener 37, you heard Chris check in moments ago from the air chair. SWL 38, Sam, hello, out in Byron, California. The signal will bounce up and down and back, and we'll see you showing up here in just a moment or two. 428-333. Hello, Douglas. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network. Also, Jackie Stroud is in. Kurt is in. We'll be checking with you. I think you're up on the... Do I see? Yeah, you're up on the Echolink link, so we'll catch you in there. That's working. Peter saying there was 0 conditions in Squamish, British Columbia today. You know why? I went to... When I put my antenna up, I went to 10 meters because it was working so well. 0, perfect match. And I could not do a repeat or a return on one of the SDRs back east because there were no conditions. Very strange. And then about 4 o'clock our time, things opened up, as you heard. Did I say hello? Yes, I did. Jukebox 502, thanks. Hello to you. Just want to see who's stopped by. Van Man, we got you checked in. Peter's waving a hand from Texas. Hello, Peter. Probably could have heard you guys around 5 o'clock or so. UDX 133 from the central coast of California had beautiful weather today, as did we. I think they're predicting 80-degree weather coming up in the middle of the week. He's going to sandbag and watch the show from beautiful Pismo Beach. I have a couple of friends. That is the escape, as you probably well know. When you've had enough of FRES, capital N, capital O, you point your bicycle to the west and keep pedaling until you run into Los Osos or Pismo or San Luis Obispo or Morro Bay, where you stop and say, why didn't I do this a lot sooner? So hope you're having a good time out there. Who else can we say hello to that may have jumped in? Said hello to Palm Springs. Oh! Cheesy 103, Jeff. Haven't heard from Jeff in a while, so thanks for jumping in. Hope all is well. Yeah, the old Tube Radio Network. For some reason, we are still here. UDX 122. Got you as well. 51, Dave, I've got you. Thanks for the radio check earlier. It was nice to be able to talk to you in the middle of the day through all the skip. And we did get 21. Jeffrey was in as well when we started up the video. So on we go. The direct-to-net roll call and eventually your tube radios. We got all the way up to SWL 38, which I called. There's Sam. Sam, let me make it official here. I think I've got, yeah, you're up in the queue box. Rusty Rails saying thanks for another show. Is there a show going on? Actually, there will be. When the tube radios start up, that is what they say showtime. SWL 39, Dr. Dan. And I'm being very quiet because sometimes you have to be quiet to hear Dan. SWL 40.
SWL 40 here. My fingers are very greasy right now, so I'm keying down with my foot.
Well, there you go. Hopefully that's a little bit in better shape. Well, you know, when I made that high frequency unroll off, I didn't hear a lot of difference. You know why? Because for some reason the AM got set to a 2.7 filter. It was on the very narrow sideband filter. So I'm on the correct listening filter for AM, and you should hear more high fidelity going on. So thanks for the heads up on that. You kept me looking, and I found the real problem.
Oh, good. Good. It was very, very muffly. I'll check it out when I get a chance.
All right. Well, you know, this is not the muffly frequency, so I was glad to be able to fix that. All right, continue on with what you're doing, and get degreased at the appropriate time, and we will check with you later. Thanks for stopping by. Out in the beautiful New York area, SWL 41, of course, Orange County, with the REACT in the Hudson Valley. 41 is wishing a good evening to all the stations around the old tube radio neighborhood. Thank you, 507. SWL 42. Got a note to get Jerry and the gang checked in, which I will do. We've got a proxy check-in for SWL 43, and I'm going to call out for SWL 44. Hello, Ray. I was just wondering if he was out, if maybe, even though the skip is still in, if he could hear me. Even though I didn't elevate the antenna, but I fixed the grounding, parts of the grounding issues. All right, let's get a proxy in for Ray. Also, hello to SWL 45, Paul and Kelly up on the hill. Hope you are listening in. Hope you're doing as well as possible, enjoying the good weather that you will be having all this week. And we're looking forward to hearing you guys back on the air. And hello, OTR Rich. Is that the Rich I think it is? Well, hello to you. Been a while. You're up late. Probably have to get up early tomorrow, but it's always nice when you stop by the old Tube Radio Network and say hello, radio. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47.
Good evening from the Radio Lounge. This is SWL 47.
Hello, 47. You are sounding good. Good to catch you in there this week. Perfect timing. Looks like you have a nice, clear frequency in which to check in. Hope all is going well.
Oh, couldn't be better. There was a quick day trip to Yosemite into, I guess it's the, not club, 1899. I guess it's the 1899 bar. They make great burgers, or so I was told, and I tested that theory out, and it's true. 1899 little bar in Curry Village. They make good burgers. Outrageously expensive, but they're good.
Well, I would think anything in Yosemite Valley is going to be a little on the expensive side. Especially, there used to be a gas station up there. I don't even know if that's there anymore. So just quickly, in 25 words or more, for one, I have not. I used to go to Yosemite all the time, and I have not been up there in a long time. And I think I may have some type of pass. I don't know if that gets me into Yosemite or not. I know is that a national park? Because I've got the Kings Canyon. But anyway, the question is involved. How does one get to Yosemite now? Is it a stop and walk? I mean, the last time I was there, it was not, you drove through and it was the one-way loop deal. Is that still around, or what's the deal for those of us who need to go to Yosemite?
Oh boy, that's a really deep question. In 1,000 words or less. Enjoy cars. If you enjoy driving cars, sports cars, or whatever cars, like I do, you better do it now, because there's going to be a point in time when I'm sure that privilege gets taken away. No, you just go up there. It's fine. Summertime, which is coming up very soon, you're going to have reservations. You don't now, or you didn't today. But you just, you go up there. It's fine. There's, I don't know what you meant by one-way traffic. It's not that bad in traffic. Besides at the toll gate, it wasn't bad at all. I got in because I've got a year pass, and that let me go through the gate relatively unscathed. But if you go up there like now, wanting to pay just for a day pass, you're going to spend some time in line.
Oh, okay. And I was wondering, because when I went before, what you got in, you could drive through the park itself, but it was a one-way road. You had to keep going around and around. It wasn't two-way. They changed that long ago. But then I thought they wouldn't let cars in anymore, and you had to get in a shuttle bus to get into the park. You're saying that's not the case?
Nope, you can drive.
All right, good deal. So, but like you said, they do a restriction on how many people can come in, so they might say, well, let me see a reservation. You don't have one, come back tomorrow, kind of thing. All right, good. Glad you had a good time. It was great down here in the valley. I imagine it might have been a little chilly up at, what's the 4,500 feet in the valleys down, whatever. Great trip. Thanks for the bird's eye view, and we've got you checked in. Over.
Thank you, sir. 73 from the Radio Lounge.
And there is a spot at Yosemite. There's the valley, and then you drive up to, I think it's Glacier Peak or Glacier Point, and that's looking down on the valley. And they've got some shacks there with antennas pointing out that way. That might be a good little portable spot. I don't know if it makes it down here to the valley or not, but that's probably the larger or the highest spot, because you're in Yosemite Valley. You're not going to hear nothing from the Midtown area. There's Central California in here. Thank you, 47. Let's go to Sammy, SWL 48. And, of course, I wasn't on because I was working late Friday night. I'll give Sam a proxy check-in. Let's go to our favorite dynamic duo, Smitty and Sweet Country Mama, SWL 49.
Comment?
This is a comment frequency. Over.
I've done that hike from the top of Glacier Points all the way down into Yosemite Valley, and it only cost me one toenail. It's an amazing hike. You have to do it. It's nothing short of spectacular. It's miraculous. Wear good shoes, though.
Is that something that a standard person can do? You don't need picks and hooks and carabiners? It's a trail?
Nope, it's a trail, and anyone can, well, I did it, so anyone can do it. Just wear good shoes. Going down is not the issue. Going up, that's another story.
All right, I drove up there, and then I wandered around at the top of the hill looking for these little shacks with antennas on them, which they have, because it's the sort of relay station for the valley where they relay up to the glacier, and then you have to relay back down in the valley. So good stuff. Okay, hopefully this year I'm going to have more time. I will get up there and check it out again. But you've instilled my hopes that it might actually be open at some point in the next year or two to get in there. Thanks. if I didn't say so, you're watching, listening, participating in the Old Tube Radio Network. Real Radio is glowing in the dark. My name is Dennis. You're listening to our shortwave listeners saying hello. And coming up in just a few minutes after the roll call, the whole reason, ever so long ago, that a few of us just said, let's go to Channel 11, find our 27.085 crystals, and fire up those first radios that we got that are sitting on the shelves with the tubes inside. We will be doing that, and hopefully, if you're new to the 11-meter mode, recreate what the airwaves probably and most definitely sounded like. Not only the physical with the physical radios, but just the generic demeanor of a chat back in the day when the radios were brand new, and you think, oh yeah, I wish it could be like that. Well, it will be, at least for an hour or so. Let's go over to SWL 51. And I wanted to give Dave a chance to check in. I had a great chat with him earlier, and he said to check him in, but his audio was sounding great. He's out there in Sanger. Let's try SWL 52. It was a great day, so 52 is probably out doing something. Crossband is up. Echolink is up, and of course we're right here on the AM side of 27085. SWL 53, Bob, we got checked in through all the skip, and I'm on the separate page things going on here. We've got a proxy check-in for 54. Let's go up the hill to M&M, SWL 55. Just for kicks, we checked in SWL 56 at the beginning of the program. He's got an X in the square. Let's try SWL 57 out there in central Kentucky. The ever-popular brown dog audio, as they say. SWL 58. And let's see, the station who, if I think he's probably listening, if Old Radio Night is on, somebody go knock on 59's door and say, Uncle Hairball, you need to get over to the Old Tube Radio Network and say, oh, there it is, he's checking in. In fact, he's checked in for the entire month. Do we have, I don't know, do we have 4 Saturdays? I think we only have 4 Saturdays in March. 59 looking good. Who was on the big wheel tonight? When I went over to Old Radio Night, there was a whole bunch of people on the wheel. Did they find a definitive wheel winner tonight at Old Radio Night? Let's go over to SWL 61. Dino checked in. Sounding really good. He's got an X in the square. SWL 62. SWL 63. SWL 64 checked in. I think Craig was the first person to jump in when the video latched up out in Wisconsin, and the X is already in the square. Craig, we've got you. If you're still there, you are checked in. If you're listening, just look straight up. It's like, yeah, I've checked in. That net control guy, he knows what he's doing. Let's go to SWL 65. Or not. SWL 66.
Breaker.
The breaker, go ahead, over.
Yeah, Dennis, did you miss me?
You know, Joe, I would go back to the records and prove you right, but I'm going to fess up. I think I missed you. And thank you for paying attention. You get extra points. I'm going to put 2 X's in your square, over.
No, that I appreciate there for sure, because, boy, you just flew right by me, boy. That was okay. Evening time to everyone. SWL 60 checking in.
All right, I'm in my defense, and I think I could get a picture of this. I'm gonna put the list up on the screen here. Is that it right there? And you can see that the break between 59 and 60, if I were to put it in the right spot here, let me move it over. This is so. And people, there it is. 60 is highlighted. Notice it's right on that break. So as I was chatting with Uncle Hairball and thinking that I had already checked in SWL 61, I bypassed, and it's still highlighted right there, the ever-popular SWL 60. However, the ever-popular SWL60, who was at the ready, at the microphonium, as most of our SWLs are, was saying, what in the world? What happened? And so there it is. So you see it right here in direct. 60 is checked in. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, I always have. I'm having to explain myself, and the reason I do that is when I'm called up in front of the OTR management, and they run a tight ship around here. It says, we've been on the air for almost 40 years, and if you're gonna don the seersucker suit and the pocket protector, you better darn well do this right. And so we strive for good stuff. Let's go over to, we did 61, 62, 63, 64, 65. I'm going, here's the other guy that is ready to check in. And he already has, because I saw his name over at ultituberadio.net, and that is Bill, who is used to check in live and direct here from Central California, and is now in beautiful Canby, Oregon, where he checked in probably about 45 minutes ago. I see you there, Bill. I'm going to make sure that you are, checked in. Good stuff. Let's go to SWL 68. And also another station that used to check in live and direct and is now checking in from Tulsa, Oklahoma each week. Sounding good. And Kenny, as everybody says, we miss 69. We miss Kenny, but he's good. Kenny comes in, jumps in and says hello to everybody. So I appreciate you taking extra time to do that. And you are checked in. Let's go up the hill and see if Mark is braving the elements tonight. SWL 70. I'm going to squelch. Yeah, I'm going to squelch down. I've got the double preamp on, so if you're watching the video S meter at S5, that's about where my noise level is at. It might be a little bit easier on your ears if you're listening in. Let's go to shortwave listener 71. And Stan is there. I thought I saw Dallas, Georgia on my list, but maybe not. I will put a proxy in for Stan. I briefly listened on 40 meters today, but I didn't hear any contesting going on, but that doesn't mean there wasn't anything. Jake from State Farm says, Channel 11, question mark, did it, did it? And the old Tube Radio Net Control says, yes. We are on Channel 11, 27085, and it looks like we are right there. The place to be if you are listening over the air or can listen over the air. Otherwise, join us live here on Saturday night, ultituberadio.net on your Universal Media Net web for the audio and a link to the supposed video thing that's going on. Let's go to SWL 72. Shortwave listener 73. Someone said, check John in. Sometimes he's lurking on the crossband, and sometimes not. We've got a proxy check-in already for 74. SWL 75, that is, who is that? That's 356 BYU. I know there is, if you're checking in digitally, there's a bit of a delay between my delay, the internet delay, and your delay, so I always try and keep an eye out for where you might be checking in to make sure that you get in. Jake's up in Washington. Well, the north-south skip should be happening. We're at the top of cycle 25. The E-skip, as they call it, the short stuff, should be happening by, it's the equinox thing. I think it's now and in the autumn. Ask the bodacious station up there in Idaho, Dwayne and Chrissy, who all of a sudden it'll just open up, or Rob up in Colorado, who's been listening for years and will give us a little message saying, I can hear you guys up here in Colorado. Same thing, northwest. So keep listening. Listen to watch the 10-meter beacons. We got a great beacon at 28,300 here in the Central Valley. If for some reason you can get up to 10 meters and listen, and you hear that, you are going to be hearing us down here in the Central Valley. So anyway, thanks for listening. Let's go to SWL 76. Did I mention we are looking for Rhode Island? SWL 77. Somebody said to proxy in 1017, which I will do. Alberto, thank you for listening. We are aquí right here in Central California in the US of A, the old tube radio network, talking about the vintage tube radios from 1960s, 50s, 1970s. You will hear them. Just stand by. But espérate, right? Just hold on and you will hear some stuff. Let's go to SWL 78. That is Richard out in Wild Wildemar. SWL 79, this guy was loud and proud, as they say, during through all the skip. Is he out there now? Hello, Philip. I will put an X in the square. Over to SWL 80. Who just walked? Somebody just walked in the balcony. Middletown, Ohio. Thanks to you, I think the popcorn vendors on the mezzanine, or take the stairs of the elevator down to the green room where there is fun stuff going on. Radios are about to happen. Page 4, over to SWL 81. Where to be able to find page 4. And put it in order. Let's go to SWL 82.
Hey, good evening. 82 checking in from the Ditch Banks, Biola. And, wow, the skip has died down.
It has. I worked very late. We were doing the live concerts last night, so of course, I missed the net, but I heard reports that you guys had to kind of slog through the mini grass and things like that last night.
Oh, we got hammered. I think last night would have been a good night to work all states. Yeah, possible couple countries, but yeah, it was pretty hectic for a while, but we made it through, and yeah, we probably had just as many other states and the down under guys check in as local ones, but we made it through, so I'm glad you're not having that bad of a time tonight.
Well, it was interesting. Like I said, when I got my antenna put back up, I was going to give myself a little check-in long distance to the SDRs, and the band was closed. 10 meters closed, 11 was just barely. You could hear the guys on Channel 6 that are running 50,000 watts, and that was it. And then about 4 o'clock, it just, as you heard, just opened up. But as the sun went down, we lost our gray line. We also lost the skip. And if you look at the solar indices, the A is up at 30, the K is up. So there is some solar thing heading towards Earth. So you guys were probably on the pre-tail end last night before the bands started dropping out. And so we didn't get it as bad tonight. So tomorrow might not be so bad. Anyway, you're sounding good. Sorry I missed the net. What we're talking about is the Ditch Banks sideband net. So if you're around on Friday evenings and need to do a little end of the week decompression, bring your radio with the lower end, or like this is lower. You're going to have at least lower sideband. You could probably have AM. He'll check you in, but kick out the carrier, go to lower sideband 27, 365, 36 lower, and you will hear that very voice that was on there just moments ago on his bodacious station doing the check-ins. There's a spot for visitors and a chat that takes place at the end of everything. Were there to be stations out there to get hear you. Anyway, Ron, thanks for doing that, and thanks for checking in.
All right, Dennis, you have a good one, and yeah, thanks for doing this net. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome because of all our listeners and tube radio operators that make it so. We are on page 4, and speaking of which, we will have the tube radios coming in at the end of page 4 here. 82 is in. Let's go to SWL 83. Got to go back to my list here. And somebody asked a question. It was RO0T9, I cannot see it. It is so tiny on my screen, but hello to you. Here in Central California, we are live at this moment. If you're actually on a Saturday evening, otherwise you're watching the replay. It could be 2055 for all I know. But we are here in Central California, 27085, Channel 11. On the west coast of California, you can see it's dark. We're past our gray line. The skip is gone, but you never know. You never know what we might be able to hear. 83 is called. We'll get in the group, SWL 84 and 86 and 87 and 88. And of course, that is respectively Cheerios Kid, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl. I'm looking. I know one of the stations is up in Seattle, Washington. And were you to be able to see it? Where is it? Oh, it's way up here. It's out. No, it's right there. It's out of the screen, but it's washed out. That is the Old Tube Radio Network official on-air beacon that was sponsored, provided by the OTR on-the-air beacon, provided by SWL 84, 86, 87, and 88. That's a little underwriting going on there. Let's go to, thank you guys, the SWL 89. SWL 90. And Peter, knows some of the 2-meter ham operators in Squamish, met them, talked to them. Maybe they can help open up the link. Yeah, you know what it is? It was, and they might know. I mean, it's in Squamish, and typically they would know, and those, it's called a software-defined receiver, an SDR receiver. And it was on the Kiwi, K-I-W-I. It was part of that system. And it was in Squamish, and was very close to you guys. I mean, you guys came in booming with, just standard power. So if they know of who either sponsored or had that Kiwi software-defined receiver link up in Squamish, that's the one we were tuned into. We were not actually listening to an over-the-air, the repeater, but it was somebody's receiver connected to their computer in their house or business, or maybe it was part of the radio club, I don't know. But that is what we're missing. So if they know the whereabouts to that Kiwi SDR link that was in Squamish, BC, that's the link that we need. I mean, that was a great pipeline into you guys. Sometimes somebody puts it up and the internet goes bad, or they take it down, or something breaks, and at least you could get a report saying, oh, yeah, that was Joe, and yeah, he's working on it. It might be up next week. Or it's like, well, he had to take it. Whoever had to take it down because they got kicked out of the building. Something like that. That's the deal. Or somebody might step up and say, oh, let's put up another one. Although, when you tell them, yeah, we were using it for our 11-meter link, they might say, oh, I don't know about that. But it's not a transmitter. That's the thing. It is not a transmitter. It's just a receiver, so there is no FCC badness going on. We're not doing anything, certainly not doing anything illegal, and actually giving it a little bit of promotion. So thanks for checking in on that, because likewise, I miss hearing you guys. It was such a good receiver for picking things up. Plus, it was good just generically when I was on 40 meters. It had whoever did it was doing it well. Let's go to the guy that checked in and started out the program as 00. Back here for the 2-to-1 coupon, SWL 91. Felix out of the Bronx. He may have already checked in. Or no, he has checked in, but he might have stepped away. Yeah, legal rag chewers. That's what we do here. SWL 92. Hello to Mr. Roman. Who just walked in? Somebody's listening in. San Ramon, California, just up the road and around the corner. Thanks for jumping into the Old Tube Radio Network tonight, oldtuberadio.net. SWL 93.
SWL 93, STD, checking in, Dennis. Hoping everybody's having a good Saturday night.
We are. Louis, let me get your number in the check-in. The Silver-Tongued Devil back for his repeat performance on the Old Tube Radio Network here in the 21st century. You are sounding good. Thanks for being patient, and we do have you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good night.
Tube radios are coming up soon. Don't go away. Warthog 95, also appearing as SWL 95. Now, that works out pretty good. Checking in, of course, from Orlando, Florida, where it's always beautiful. Most of the time. I could say that about Fresno, but nobody would believe me. If I say that about Orlando, people might say, yeah. Where was Jack? I was watching an old clip from Jackie Gleason, and it wasn't... Was he out of... It wasn't Orlando. I can't remember. Where they used to zoom in, they see the beach at the beginning of that, the Jackie Gleason show. Let's go to SWL 96. 96, Kurt, we will pick you up. Kurt, I'll pick you up on the Echolink link. Looks like we got 3 coming up, so we'll do it all at once. So I'll get you checked in now, but we will recheck on the Echolink link coming up in about 2 minutes. SWL 97 from Boston and beyond. Shortwave listener 97 checking in. Da-da, dit-dit-dit, dit-dit-dit, da-da. Okay, I had to read it. You can think of it. You can think of the 7 and the 3. That's Jim giving me a nice 73. Numbers, when you're learning the code, sometimes the numbers are easy because they're in sort of a sequence, and sometimes they're not so easy. So when you're supposed to be giving your 6 call, da, dit, 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 did, you give out a 1, dit, da, 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 da. It's like, okay. But the 73 is sort of the reverse. If you look at the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's and it makes a sound, and that was the way they did it. Well, first of all, the 73 was what? The telegrapher's bye-bye for the trains or something. But I think it's because of the sound. It's the opposite. So it's da da dit 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 da da. So if you're listening, do 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 do, you'll know. Oh well, somebody just signed off. I don't know CW, but I know that little tone. I know that beat. I know they've signed off, and I'll never talk to them again. So thank you, Jim, for the 73. Or the 72 plus 1. There probably is a CW, and I'd have to look it up in the chart for the plus sign. So I did a 72 plus 1. I'd have to throw in that plus, and nobody would know what I'm doing about it. The slash, like for beacon, they put that slash in there. Da, 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 da. I can't remember, but you hear that slash. It takes you, if you're listening to the beacons, and it's, slash B. Da, 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 da. It's like, oh, that's the slash. Sorry for talking about CW. Let's go to SW. I'm going to get kicked off of this net for sure. Let's go to SWL 98. Tracy. Oh, yeah, Tracy. Let me get Tracy checked in. Checked out some of the, I liked your pictures this week. Oh, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No. What is the slash? It's too small. DN. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That's right. Thank you, Matombley. Yeah, it's DN. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. So, DN. Where are we going? Tracy's checked in. I got to get my phone brain back on. SWL 99, Radio Randy. Sometimes he just remembers and pops in right on time. Mark says he knows 2 characters, CQ. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I know 3. OTR, right? Everybody knows that. Da-da-da. Da-did-da-did. That'd be easy. That would be easy to learn. Let's go. I'll give Randy a check-in. I don't think I caught him on the air last week, but I bet he's going to pop in. All right, now we're going to go over to, and I got to get the other thing popped in. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go over to the Echolink link, and we are going to, we'll go out of order. So first, we are looking for Tony. And we'll see if we can get Tony checked in. He's SWL 100. He's our
hey, good
tubes
evening,
on the air.
Dennis. Please check in. Kilo Delta 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar Tony SWL 100. Back to net control.
All right. Hey, I'm actually remembering how to do the Echolink link. Hey, Tony, you are sounding good from beautiful McClellanville, South Carolina. Tony, our purveyor of TOTA tubes on the air, about ready to make an activation. Thanks for checking in. And now let me call the next station. That would be SWL 96 Kurt. Hello, radio. Calling in for Kurt. SWL 96, where is he at? He's out of Kokomo, Indiana.
KD6 in the net. This is Whiskey 9 Kilo Echo Charlie. SWL 96 checking in. And just wanted to wave a big hand to you, Dennis, from Kokomo, Indiana. And on that note, it's late. So we're going to go QRT and check the eyelids for cracks. And we are going to do it all again next week, too. So 7-3, have a great one, Dennis. And as always, thanks for taking the net. And all the SWL listeners, have a great rest of your weekend. This is Whiskey 9 Kilo Echo Charlie. We'll be QRT. 7-3.
You guys have great audio on the Echolink link, and thanks for stopping by. We got one more station to check in, and that's Albert. Let's see if Albert can get in there with the audio. Hello, radio from. We'll see if Albert, he's in Sparks, Nevada.
KI6CBA. I think I found the perfect combination. My modulation meter is going good.
Oh, yeah.
Hello there, Dennis. I hope you receive me, and it's fun to listen to the OTR and the shortwave listeners that are calling in. So I will just sign out with that and see you next time.
Okay, Albert, perfect, very good audio. Whatever you're doing, like I do, put the post-it on it and say, this is what we want to do. This is the thing. And then, unlike what I do, when you come back the next time, try not to undo whatever you did. Sounds great from Sparks, Nevada. Good audio, great things. Thanks for checking in. We'll look for you next week. Have a great week. All right, the Echolink link. Everybody's sounding good. They got their... Sometimes it's hard because if you're listening to this feed, it's on a delay, and then you come back. So, good Echolink tonight. Back to the list. We are heading to Arkansas for SWL 102. John, who is right there. The Mud Duck in the Arkansas River Valley checking in. Well, he's being modest because I bet he is less mud and even less duck. Where is my... What did I do with it? I had the Mud Duck logo. It fell off from Frank from 007. Otherwise, I'd hold that up and give him a plug. So, all right, thank you, John, for checking in. Got you up there. Let's go to South Carolina. Tango Romeo 21 X-ray SWL 103. And he is right there. I've got to look at the right screen. Says the weather is nice. The grass needs cutting. Over. Well, it's same thing here, and I actually did that as well today with the antenna project. It was so nice. So the grass has been cut. The grass is now greener somewhere else, which is fine with me. Thanks, Joey, for checking in. Looking good at South Carolina. Closer to home. And up the hill, and maybe with my antenna being fixed, he'll be able to pull me out of the mud tonight. SWL 109 Crawdad. Or not. For a proxy check-in. Oh, you get lucky when we get a check-in from Crawdad because he's a busy guy. A Saturday night, Friday night might be a chore to jump in from whatever duties he has going on to get on the Tube Radio Network. So we give, if you're listening, Crawdad, you're watching the replay, you are checked in.
Don't forget he had an early check-in at the beginning.
Oh, 109 did? I didn't hear that. All right. Thank you for that. I'll have to go back and watch and listen to the replay. So thank you for that. You know why he was probably there, and because he's up on the hill, the guys really get blasted out up there when we have the skip. So it's like, and I'm not going to hear anything. So, good deal. Let's see. We are going to SWL 110. That's out in Lake Millerton. We haven't heard from Lake Millerton in a light. That's right, AR, da-da-da-da-dit. I remember that one. That was the da-da-da-da-dit, da-da-da. I used to like that. It's like, all right, I'm done, goodbye. But it always has a nice little da-da-da-da-dit, da-da-da. It always had a nice little sound to it. Let's go to Robert. I probably missed Robert as well. SWL 111. And I'll get him checked out. I kind of wanted to see if I could hear him better with the antenna fixed. He is out in Reedley. I do hear him, but he never hears us. But getting Mr. Grunt checked in out of Reedley. How about Tom and Sanger, SWL 113? Oh, over to Wayne, SWL 114.
114, checking in.
114. Wayne sounding good as always. The rickshaw's got an X in the square. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you for the X in the square.
Speaking of SWLs, here's a guy, and we always talk about this, that was recognized by Popular Electronics as one of their official shortwave listeners, and of course that is John out of Fairfax, Virginia, in Foreland, and John checked in about an hour ago at oldtuberadio.net. John, if you're still listening, I will put the X in the square for yet another shortwave listener. I think John has been... This is his second longest shortwave listener, 128. His Popcom number, which I always do it wrong. I think it's WPE9 ICM or 91 Charlie Mike. Probably issued, in the late 60s, in the 1960s. So he's held that for a while. 128 he's had for a while, too. So we're checking in. Let's go to... where are we going? 114, 128. SWL 131. And 13, thanks. The K3 FEF SDR receiver is in Milford, Pennsylvania. That's on the KFS. I think that's part of the KFS system. And I've listened to that before. If you want to do kind of a long, see if your signal is coming in during the day on 10, 15, 20, or perhaps 40 at night. SWL 133, or just get on your tube radio on a Saturday evening. No SDRs necessary, no trickery, just turn it on. Wait for the magic eye to warm up, and that goofy OTR guy to say, hey, we're taking check-ins. We'll be doing that shortly. Here's a station that will give us a sound. This is our teaser. Here comes the tube radio for about 10 seconds. SWL 135.
Okay, if it will work properly, this is SWL 135. Checking in. Back to you.
Back to me in the studio. Sounding good. It sounds like it's warmed up. The audio is nice, so no problem here in a couple of minutes. We'll catch you then. SWL 137. SWL 145, Tony. I'm looking for the questions from Friday morning, from the Friday morning net that Tony often will leave, and I'm not finding them. So why isn't it allowing me to do that? I don't know. Okay, here we go. And here they are. I don't want to take too much time because I know we've got some tube radios that are waiting to get checked in. For some reason, the Universal Media NetWeb is slow. All right, here we go. Oh, and this is a good one. It's on tubes. Question number one, what type of tube has four active electrodes? Oh, this is not a multiple choice. So that means I won't get the answer, right? What type of tube has four active electrodes? I really like when it's a multiple choice. I can pick one, but there is an answer. It starts with a T. And the answer is a tetrode. I don't think anybody has a tetrode in their old tube radio. But there you go. So put that in your memory banks. For active electrodes, you're looking at a tetrode. All right, question 2. Looks like an amateur radio question. Or radio question. In amateur radio of the 1930s, okay, that's long before. That's the old stuff. That's boat anchor stuff. What would have been meant by the abbreviation ECO, Echo Charlie Oscar? In amateur radio of the 1930s, what would have been meant by the abbreviation ECO? I don't know. I wasn't around. Raise your hand if you're around the 1930s. You are probably in bed by now. Okay. Oh, wait, it's multiple choice. So the possible answers are echo coupled operation, electronic capacitive oscillator, electron coupled oscillator, or electronically coupled operation. So this is amateur radio of the 1930s or radio of the 1930s. What was an ECO? Was it an echo coupled operation? Was it an electronic capacitive oscillator? Was it an electron-coupled oscillator? Or an electronically coupled operation? Well, I kind of know what it's not. I would say, I'm going to say B, an electronic capacitive oscillator. But Tombole says an electron-coupled oscillator, so that is C. Anybody else? Cathode, control grid, screen grid, plate? And the answer is, Dave says B, I say B. Oh, the answer is C, electron-coupled oscillator. So winner, chicken dinner. I was not around there, but an ECO. If you ever hear an ECO, that is an electron-coupled oscillator. Don't forget a picture of that. All right, back to the net. I always like to do this because maybe I will learn something. What I learn is that as they say, what was the thing? I know from nothing. SWL 145, Neil checked in early from Kakalaki, where the skip is okay and the weather is beautiful. SWL 188, hello, Bobby, over.
Good evening, Tom Dennis, 188 checking in.
188. All right, I'm taking that we've lost our skip. I don't hear any of it in my noise level, so I'm assuming we're safe.
We are safe. It's all quiet around my hood, too.
Yeah, just kind of popped in for the last 2 hours, and if you look at the sunspot numbers, it's going to be kind of weak. It's going to be the guys like you with the good antennas and the stations that are going to be talking tomorrow. Other than that, if you don't have the big stations, I don't think it's going to happen. Bobby, you're sounding good. We got you checked in.
10-4, unit time call.
Up in Corscold, are we being heard by Jim in the Starliner control? Over.
Oh, 195 hears you pretty good. You sound good, Dennis.
All right. Yeah, I as I mentioned, I worked on the antenna today. It had some issues. I'm hearing you nice as likewise, and you're one of the stations I wanted to hear for sure to make sure that I didn't go the wrong way. So all that jumping up and down the ladder paid off a little bit. Now I just have to get it into the air. Thanks for being patient, and thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Thank you for being there. Okay, have a good day. Have a good evening.
All right, will do. Jeffrey, SWL 226. I bet he is lurking. Jeffrey is lurking. We will make sure that Shockwave is checked in. Anybody else that I missed or wants to get in, because we want to get to the tube. He's pointing to his watch. He said, "Come on, you're going to have to work overtime tonight because we are so late." And I will, no problem. If we got radios to check in, I will do that. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to jump out of the air chair. I will be right back. I got to make sure we're set up for tube time, and then it is we're pulling out all the stops. I always say that. I guess where does that come from? Like a pipe organ or something? We're pulling out all the stops, and then we'll get you checked in and then some. The Old Tube Radio Network, back in a moment. Okay, I think we are back. Let's give it a try so we can check in those radios.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
That would be you, and that would be me, and a radio or two thrown, and the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. Your radio's glowing in the dark. Thanks for sharing your collections with us. And the shortwave listeners from near and far out. Let me go to the control room and the proper control room picture and say thanks for joining us. I will I've done enough talking. It is time for you to do so. OTR is listening for any and all radio check-ins.
135, 135.
14, 14, 14.
Looking good. We'll take these stations in order. Everybody sounds good. No problem hearing anyone tonight. Sean, doing good from Sanger. Keep the radios warmed up. You will be coming in as Radio 2. I hear you perfectly. And 135. Mr. Green Arrow is stepping up into the air chair. And I think, we're still in March. So he may have found in his vast collection yet another green-style radio for the month of March. Cliff, over to you to prove me right or wrong. Over.
Okay, you have officially been proven right, more or less. We'll see what the consensus is. Let's see, where to begin. This radio is kind of the opposite of the first one I checked in this month. Remember the tram, which has a greenish colored face, but in the case of mine, the rest of the cabinet's all chrome. This is kind of the opposite. The cabinet is all green, but the face is black and metal colored. So, let's see, from Japan, by way of Canada, this is the Cardon Spitfire Mark XL. And it is truly an international radio, isn't it? It's made in Japan, but was sold by, Cardon. Let me read this. It says it right on the front. Product of Cardon Import Company Limited. Somewhere in Canada. I'd love some help with that. I have no idea where they were. I have no idea how much these things sold for. And I have no paperwork of any kind on them. They are not in Sam's, and I have never been able to find a manual. So there are 9 tubes. That's all. Just 9 tubes, but all 40. That's right, 40 channels. Phase lock loop controlled. So yeah, they aren't the crystals, but there's still 9 tubes in this thing. 40 channels. Back to you.
All right, I'm here. I just went off the Vox, so it takes me a while to reach the microphonium, and I was writing down the fact that it has 9 tubes, which was sort of ruining my kind of speculation on this radio. And we may have discussed this before, but maybe I don't remember. I'm going to keep for a second here. All right, I want to make an adjustment, because I'm making sure that our receive audio is good for the listeners. All right, 40 channel citizen band transceiver. So that would, we know that if it's a 40 channel citizen band transceiver, it was after 1976 or after, because the FCC said no more 23 channel radios. You can't make them. You won't be able to sell them, get rid of them. And when they went to the 40 channels, and that was in 76. However, because it's so late in the game, me thinks this is one of the Panasonic 2 chassis that would be the Robin T240D and that ilk, which indeed it certainly looks like, but I believe those all have 11 tubes. So the question is, did they pull out some tubes when they went to Canada? It's like, oh, you know, these tubes got to get out of here. You know, it's like bringing your fruit into Canada. No, the 6BQ5 and that we can't bring them across the border, but it certainly does have that look. It's got the range expand. So I think it's a Panasonic 2 chassis, but the 9 tubes is throwing me. The audio is good. It's not super crisp and super bright, but you've got a good signal. We're on a channel 11, and I will mention that the photo that we're seeing, if you're at oldtuberadio.net with the photo or you're on the live video, this is the radio on which Cliff is transmitting. It is his radio, and he's got a great shot. So over to you. I like the fact that the mic gain is at the front and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking this is a 240D in sheep's clothing somehow.
Yeah, it sure does look an awful lot like it. The arrangement of the lights and, well, the arrangement of everything pretty much on the face. And again, strange that there's a mic gain on here, but there is no RF gain on the radio. So you're kind of stuck with wherever you have it, you know. Very strange. Oh, and that, is it the mic gain knob? I got to get the flashlight out here. Yes, we're transmitting from the CB Cabana in northern Fresno. Oh yeah, it's kind of like one of the other radios I just checked in. It's the Robin T123B, I think. On this one, the mic gain knob, if you pull it, it changes the tone. You know, takes out all the highs, and so it's pull for tone. And like I say, all that does is pretty much. If you want to get the same effect, take a pillow and put it over your speaker. It's the same kind of effect. Oh, and then the microphone currently is a static DN50, that's Delta November 50 microphone. And I would like to change mics to see if the other mic sounds a little brighter and better.
All right, I had some video malfeasance here, but you sound great. I've got the orb band meter up. I think you're around 24. We got the S meter up, a picture of the radio, and I did a little research. Panasonic, made in Japan. And I got to get on the microphone. Thank you, Charlie. Panasonic, made in Japan, imported to Canada, as you said. Same, it says right here, notes, same as Robin T240D, although you said it's missing some of the external controls. So yeah, let's do the microphonium. That does not sound bad. It's loud. It doesn't have a lot of high frequency click to it, but it does not sound bad over.
Okay, so I should have done the thing. I'll do it with this one, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me. This is a Turner plus 3B. 5432122345, suffering sibilance, boom, boom, boom. Sausages in a saucepan. Yeah, now if I can just get my throat to work properly, what kind of difference did that make?
Well, that certainly brought up your mid-range. Turner sounds good. Okay, that's the first SWL reporting in, and I did manage to get us on the right bandwidth, so people listening in are hearing exactly what I'm hearing on probably about an 8K bandwidth filter, piping down the Universal Media NetWeb. I kind of think I like it better, maybe a little bit more perceived loudness. I was looking at the orb band meter, and I think you were still like in the 24 range, so it's not a big difference that way, but maybe a little more pleasant to listen to. And probably when you were in Skipland earlier, might have been a better microphonium for punching through. Let's see, I want to say hello to Art, who is listening in from New Jersey, enjoying the program and the radios. Also, who is the station? Alex in Fresno. Yeah, we're out of Fresno. And David, the hypnotist, is fascinating. He says in Fresno, too. We've been doing this since the late 1980s. Saturday evenings, beaconing over the airwaves. Tune us in on the Grundig Yacht Boy if you can. So back to you, Cliff. Take another transmission on the microphonium. It sounds good.
Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Everything, I'm looking at all the flashy lights and wiggle meters. Audio. It looks about the same. I tried. They're both amplified microphones, right? So I did try to get them at about the same level, but that's hard to do here with a walkie-talkie for my monitor. So I'll be interested to watch the replay and listen to it and look at the cool meters and see how they compare. But yeah, is this one a little nicer sounding, a little more articulate, as they say?
Yeah, it's dropped off some of the low frequencies, but not bad. You didn't have a lot of them to begin with. Not like, ooh, where did that mellifluous mellowness go? And I did check the Orban meter. You've got an extra dB towards, what is it, 0, above or below 0 dB. So that does mean you've got a little more loudness going on, and it's probably just because you've got that frequency accentuated. The radio is beautiful, green radio. So Chrissy is happy. Our green radio fans are happy. This is one of your great. I mean, they're all great, but this picture is the lighting, the colors are perfect, the meter is perfect, it's on channel 11, the microphone is displayed, it's good muzzle lighting without it being dark, and I just wanted to give the OTR a seal of approval for the great photography that you do on all the radios, and the fact that it really helps us when we get these radios to check in, to put in a nice, tell me more about that radio, and there it is, and sometimes you will actually see these, the Clifter photos show up in other little places, thinking, oh, I know where that photo came from. So good deal. Even have the red light. Did you say the range expand? I'm assuming, even though you said the microphones are amplified, that the range expand is on. I forgot what you said.
I don't know if I did say, I'm not sure if everything is operationally, up to code or wherever it should be. But yeah, I have the range expand on. I have the mic gain turned not quite all the way up, and yet I've got both of these amplified mics turned to about 12 o'clock. So there's plenty of audio being pumped into it, just to get it this far. In the picture, if I remember correctly, I originally used a hand mic. I think it was a Turner, probably like a Turner 350 hand mic. And yeah, you really had to pretty much yell into the thing. So I was trying, these as an experiment. I don't check this radio in nearly as much as I probably should. I'm also as fascinated to hear about the difference in the number of tubes. I'm guessing I can't use the SAMs for the T240 Delta to troubleshoot this thing. Any information anybody's got on these things, I would love to have, because I've never been able to find any. No manuals, again, not in SAMs or anything. So you kind of fly by the seat of your pants. Oh yeah, additional green. I'm sure you notice on the meter, it's yellow, red, and green. There's plenty of green there. And the RX, receive light is green. So there's some additional green happening here. I don't know if the case is really coming out in the picture as green. It's the angle I took it at. But we're well past St. Patty's Day, so yeah, the green stuff is going to diminish slowly into the west. Back to you.
Not a problem. Some people are probably glad of that. Back to the full screen shot once again. We'll go to the quad where you can see the radio and the microphone. Sounds good. I'm just wondering. Harvey is probably listening, driving back, and we'll pick it up. But I'm just wondering, what two tubes can you axe out of the Panasonic chassis? There is no product detector. It doesn't do sideband, because a lot of the tube radios are 12 or 13 tubes had a tube for the sideband. And if it has two transistors, which it probably does, that's for the DC to DC conversion. So there's no tube involved in that. So I'm just wondering what they pull out of there, what they lose, or anyway. Sounds good for 9 tubes. The Spitfire Mark XL, and it says, let me go back to the Extreme CU, and it, just like you read off, it says a product of. See, the photo is so good I can actually read this. A product of Canada Import Company or something. Oh no, Cardone Import Company LTD, Spitfire Mark XL. But your garden variety Panasonic chassis number 2 imported to Canada, but it's the Robin, if you got that Robin T240D or some of the other 40-channel versions of that, that's what's going on, and it sounds good. Thanks, Cliff, for that. Radio number 1, Sean has got a radio for us, which we will get to. But back to you for another transmission. Great audio. You are not overdoing. I don't hear room noise, overmodulation, distortion. It is a perfect sounding radio with that microphone.
Yeah, I imagine out here in the backyard you're not going to hear anything bouncing off of any walls. I just actually have a screen behind me in the screen house cabana. Yeah, the Cardon Spitfire Mark XL or Mark 40, I'm still not certain how you're supposed to say that. 40-channel Citizens Band transceiver, a base and mobile if you have the right cabling. And since I can't find any paperwork, I've never tried to wire this up for DC. That's one of those things you don't guess at. Thanks for letting me check it in, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for checking it in. Thanks for the great picture. And anybody listening, the microphone, don't go away. The microphone that you started with and the microphone you ended with, what is that again? In case somebody's listening and has that same chassis and saying, I'd like to try that. So microphone number 1 was, and microphone number 2 is, ... Back to you.
Right, I thought I said it at some point. Yeah, the first mic is a very old mic, probably more designed for sideband. That's the Aesthetic DN50. That's Delta November -50 DN50 head on a, hey, let's look at that. What is the base? It's an amplified TUG9 amplified bass. The one I'm currently on is a Turner +3 Bravo. Back to you.
All right, very good. Yeah, you mentioned that just for somebody who was taking notes. I want to do a recap on the microphone because it was a good difference. Everybody seemed to like number 2. Number 1 was no problem. So if you misplace the other one or it's stuck on another radio, the original microphone will work well. You are listening. Thank you. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. The Jingle Singers are ready. That will give Sean, SWL14, a time to step up to the air chair, and we will do that in about 20 seconds.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
I'm still wondering why the Jingle Singers put us into that sort of negative asymmetrical modulation. Do we need to change the ribbons and the RCA44 out there? I don't know. But anyway, we're looking good. You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark here in Central California. And we appreciate our tube radio operators that take the time and have the radio real estate on their proverbial radio desks and all whatever financial things they have to do to get the radios on the air to share them with us. It's kind of fun. It returns, or it gives us that sound that we remember, some of us, or that we would have liked to remember that back in the day when we were tuning in and back in high school when we thought, wow, I'd sure like to have one of those, except my paper route or working at McDonald's is not going to give me that $250 that I thought. Let's go to Sangertown. Sean, can you hear the mud duck here in Midtown? Over.
Yeah, I can hear you rather well tonight, though I can hear a little bit of skip trying to sneak in there right now. And I'm coming to you on a radio with 3 meters in total, 17 knobs and 5 pieces. That is my Dimco satellite. Back to you.
Nice, clear audio. I'm going to go to the Rolodex under Demco Electronics, and I always pick the wrong one. So I'm going to try the CB. There's the Demco satellite base station. I think this is the wrong one. So I'm going to go back to the CB1, and I believe this is the right one. Let me put it up in the window screen where you're able to find that. And it does seem to have a multitude of knobs, a magic eye, and all sorts of pieces and parts, and it sounds good. Here in Midtown Fresno, over.
Yeah, thank you. It's modulation monitor is what it's got right above the old magic eye, and it is functioning properly. And I was looking at all the knobs, and I counted them. I thought, man, 17, is that right? And I counted them again, and yeah, there's 17 knobs between the 5 pieces. And I am on a amplified D104 desk mic, and hopefully still sounding good.
It does. You must have stepped away from the element. The audio went down, but it came right back up. This is a separate transmitter-receiver combination, like the Browning. Who else did that? There was a few others. Buddy did the separate transmitter-receiver, but it wasn't too popular. I mean, there's a carryover from your amateur radio days where you put your boat anchor Johnson transmitter along with a Hallicrafters or a Hammerland or a Collins receiver, but that would include hooking cables up and tuning and loading and spotting. And for the Class D citizen radio service, it was supposed to be a little bit easier than that. But some of the companies said, you know what, we trust our operators to know what the heck to do. And so here you get the sort of this early mid-'60s radios that if you liked buttons and knobs and dials and weren't afraid to read the manual, this is what you got. But you've got a nice sounding radio and a good looking radio as well from Demco Electronics, the satellite. It also, unlike the Browning, but I think Buddy Autronics was the same way. They put the speaker, they took the speaker out, which I thought was a good idea. They took the speaker out of the receiver transmitter, out of all that heat, and put it in a separate box. You could actually move it around. It wasn't beholden to the receiver and where you had it. So I don't know. Where is your speaker between the radios, on top of the radios, somewhere else? Over?
I have it sandwiched right in the middle, and I have the modulator on top of the speaker, and it's a little bit wider, so it kind of goes across the speaker. And then I have the Demco bandalizer off to the right-hand side on the receiver. And it's a great radio. The sound of the speaker is really nice when you're listening to the receive. And the receive, it works fine. I know they're not known for the receive quality, but it's a good receive. I could almost hear the green arrow out here in Sanger tonight. And so I'm really happy with this radio. It's a radio that Harvey had pieced together for me. I'd wanted one for some time, and he got all these pieces working properly, and I've had it for a good amount of time and never ever had one problem with this radio. So it's one of my older radios in the collection, and a really good one. It was well built and has stood the test of time.
It has. Next transmission, keep an eye on either it's something modulation indicator, because the modulation's dropping down a little bit, and it may just be the contact closure on the microphonium. So if you see it drop down, just unkey and rekey the microphone. That may do it. I didn't lose you 100%, but I know you didn't go that far away from the microphone. Other than that, you're looking good. I just want to make a note about the picture. If you're watching the video or seeing the picture, you'll see some other. This is again from the station we just heard, Mr. Green Arrow Cliff. Part of his collection, of course, focusing on the Demco, but you can see behind it the Browning, what looked like the Mark II. And I'm going to say that's a Hallicrafters either receiver or transmitter up. So some of you might say, oh, if they know the radio, say, look at that, like good stuff. But that's from Cliff's shack at that time. Not sure if all that stuff is still arranged the same way. But the radio we're focusing on, of course, and I'll put it back in the close-up here, is the Demco. The modulator is the smaller box between the transmitter and the receiver. It contained 2 tubes. And it was a limiter or a compressor, and it would work. It would interface with any radio as long as you plugged in had the right microphone plug to go in the jack. You put any microphone on it, and then it would come out. The output of that would go to any radio you want, as long as you're impedance matched and you matched, the right flavor of that microphone. So you could buy that as a separate piece and put it on any solid state tube radio, as long as you were impedance matching. So let's go back to you in the Sanger studios on the satellite, Satelite. No one has ever mentioned why their spelling of satellite was as such. I'm assuming it wasn't some error. It might have just been, let's be different, or maybe that has some acronym associated with it. But it is the Demco satellite. Back to you. Over.
Yeah, hopefully it's, I'll keep an eye here on the modulation, yeah, they do, it is spelled funny, and it has the S out there with a square around it, so maybe it's the S-Adalite, so anyhow, hopefully it's working. I see it jump up. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I need to check the battery in this microphone or something, but yeah, hopefully it's still making the trip, and thanks for the time tonight for the Demco satellite, SWL-14, checking out.
Oh, indeed. Boy, the audio came way up that time. Now, you were pushing the limits of the Demco. It had that Demco sound, big and brass. It sounded good before, but definitely, as you mentioned and you noted, you were seeing a little bit more extra flavor on the Magic Eye, some wiggle meters, so it's there. So yeah, I almost think it's a contact closure on the microphone. It's just like almost there. I think I can, and then it doesn't. But might be good to check the battery. Other than that, the radio hasn't missed a beat. The radio, of course, from Demco Electronics, the not the super, but the satellite. They made a couple flavors of the satellite and some other ones, but this was the big one. I didn't talk to too many. There was a REACT station where I grew up down in Manhattan Beach that ran it on ran a super satellite on Channel 9, and boy, did that thing get out on Channel 9 and Channel 10 and Channel 11 when you turned the audio up. Nice station and sounded good. Good signal tonight from Sanger. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice audio. The Jingle Singers will be back. Hello to the land of Oz. Larry, thanks for joining us here on the old Tube Radio Network, and likewise to Boat Anchor CB Radio Repair. I said, oh, hey, Sean, if you're listening before you change coax, Boat Anchor CB Radio Repair says he heard the Demco in Lindsay, and I think that has happened before. So when the audio is on that's the kind of radio where you look and there's nothing showing on the S meter, and you're hearing audio. That's what plate modulated 105, 110% asymmetrical modulation will do for you. Just good stuff. For the old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's glowing in the dark. We are listening for yours, and the Jingle Singers are telling you about the favorite spot to be on a Saturday evening here.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. Your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
All right, Sean, I hear you. Hang on just one. Okay, there was a carrier in there, but there was no modulation. Was that someone trying to check in? Okay, I just want to make sure. Sometimes, you key up your radio, or is it key down? But you turn on the transmitter, and that's why you gotta have that magic eye, or some wiggle meter to make sure that you are functioning. So if it's somebody wanting to check in a radio, we will be here to check you in. But in the meantime, just check the audio. SWO14, Sean, you are sounding good yet again. Who was that? So step up into the air chair. Who said, the 1011D. Is it Radio Rabbit? And said, should I check in on my 1011D? That's the Comanche, right? The Siltronics, they're D. We haven't had one of those in a while. I wish we could hear you. Who was the big, it was 56, Just for Kicks, had pretty much, I think, the whole line of the Swan, Siltronics, 1011, plain C, D, no number affiliation. We've had them here. So, and yeah, if you got a D, if you got a Comanche, we'll look for it. All right, I will stop talking. If you can hear me in Sanger, take a transmission. You will be radio number 3. Over.
Yeah, SWL 14, checking in on my Cobra Cam 88, and I think my microphone problem a lot of the time is I don't squeeze it hard enough. I start relaxing and thinking about something other than holding the microphone properly. But this Cobra Cam 88 has the stock microphone. It says B&K, and it's the stock hand mic. The radio has a modification on the back of it. It has some extra channels involved with a little toggle switch you can flip up. Other than that, it's a really nice radio, and I think it's like the first radio I got from Harvey, because he saw all my Cobra, vintage Cobra radios, transistor radios, and he thought that I would surely love to have a tube Cobra radio, and I was really happy with it, especially the way it sounds, and it's in great condition, stock microphone, everything I like about it. So hopefully it's making a nice transmission to you.
It is, and the Cobras, the Cam 88s always have that great full fidelity audio, and very not unlike what you were just on. Maybe not as much drive or as punch as the Demco, and that could be because the modulator's not on it. But boy, for fidelity and just the regular standard microphonium or whatever's in there, doing a good job. So if you're an audio guy for AM, I always recommend the Cam 88s. They will play well. If we could stay keyed up here, they will play well with some audio. Or an audio board, an audio rack, give you some full fidelity, even with the standard microphones with that. Got a picture of a couple of the Cobra Cam 88s. Now we're back to the transceiver. Everything in one box. You go from 11 knobs to still more than you'd get on the Johnson Viking, right? But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, and maybe there's something in the back. There is 2 versions. I'm seeing the mod light on both, but one of them has a switch underneath the modulation light. I wonder which one you have. Over.
Yeah, this is the Dynaboost equipped switched radio. So I have the modulation light, which is going crazy right now. It blinks a lot. And the Dynaboost switch is on, which I assume kind of gives it a little more pep in its step. And I'm seeing audio about 2.5 to 3 watts on audio there.
What did the FCC said? 5-watt DC input, which typically, if you could get the radio tuned, you'd get 3.5 watts out. That's, maybe 4 out of the box. A lot of them, especially the tube radios, had capabilities to do a little bit more than that. But you got to be careful. You got to have, what do they call it? Headroom. There's some point of no return where the meter looks good. It's like, yeah, I like that output meter at 7 watts, but notice what's happening to the audio. So I think you have that one just about where it should be. Again, it back to back with the Demco playing pretty well. Boy, it's a treat to hear you. I hear you so well. So my antenna, I know you've got a great antenna. My antenna project, I remember last week, it's like, I'm not hearing Sean, but that was my issue. It sounds good tonight. We got a nice quiet frequency now. The Cobra Cam 88. Looking good. How is the receive compared to the Demco? I know you're not listening on the big external speaker, but just sound-wise and static-wise, are they similar?
I would say that the Cobra is maybe a little better as far as, finer receive, but they're both great radios. Me and Dirt Dog, he prefers the satellite when we're listening to him, but the Cobra does have a little bit more finer, I guess not as broad maybe would be the the way to describe it, but yeah, I also do have a little audio processor, a vintage one from like the 80s or something, and one of these days I'll try and get it, you know, on the program here. Harvey took the time to get it all wired up, and it is really cool looking. It kind of matches the radio, and one of these days I'd like to get it on there.
Well, that is a radio that if you can match, you know, make sure your impedance match is okay, that it should play well with that radio for sure. Sounding good, getting some good reports from the listeners. And Lloyd, is the Cobra Cam 88 and the 98 the same except for the look? I think they are not. If Harvey was here, he may have had them open inside to see what was changed. If there was an update, sometimes, yeah, but they just changed the, you know, it's like a car. We're going to add an extra headlight. It's the same car, but now we want 4 instead of 2, because that's the new look. But the Cam 88, 98 were the last, I believe, the last tube sets from Cobra. So again, you've got the audio adjusted nice. Everything looks good. I don't have the 0 beat set up to see where you are in frequency, but I'm listening really wide, so it definitely sounds like there is no issue going on. Again, and you mentioned the beginning, and I didn't write it down. Do you have the range expand or range boost on or off?
Yeah, that's correct. I have the Dynaboost on, and you know, the interesting thing is the skip has just been crazy lately, but I think it was the week before last, Harvey and I both checked into an old tube radio night in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which was pretty cool. So, yeah, the skip has its, you know, good things and bad things, but last night was unbelievable conditions here in Sanger.
Yeah, that's what Ron was saying. It was just before. We're having some solar thing going on. It's going to last for the next couple of days, so I think the daytime bands aren't going to be that good. And it's sort of like the calm before the storm. So I think you guys caught what was going on last night for good conditions. Yeah, and you know, sometimes with there's radios that have the modulation expanders and ranges. When they get adjusted from the inside, it's adjusted for the microphone you have. So if you have an amplified mic, and you're already pushing some extra audio in there, then you adjust the range boost on so it sounds good. When you turn it off, then it's weak, and you put a regular hand mic on there, and it's really weak. And then if it's adjusted for the hand mic, you put the amplified mic on, and then you end up having, when you turn the range boost, you have to turn the microphone all the way down. So you're probably adjusted okay. You can always tell. If you have to turn that microphone the amplified microphone way, way down, then your range boost is probably adjusted for a hand mic. If it's somewhere where in the middle or something on the gain control, then be careful when you put on a hand mic, because you're probably going to have to shout in the radio. Lloyd, listening in the bus. Yeah, the wheels on the bus go round and round. I had never heard it referred to that until I started on O2 Radio Network here, and a lot of people will say, hey, there's the bus. So I guess that was its loving pet radio name. Back to you for another transmission. It is Radio 3, the Cobra Cam 88, sounding good. If you watch the replay, you will be pleased with what you hear. Sounding good in Sanger, and you're getting another thumbs up from Boat Anchor CB Radio Repair in Lindsay. Sounding good out there.
Oh, well, I appreciate the report from Lindsay. That is a pretty good shot out that way. And I appreciate the time tonight for the Cobra Cam 88. It's getting late, so I'll let some of the other SWLs get in there. Probably Harvey's racing right in the door about now.
Yeah, I think he was listening in somewhere. So, and we're going to run. We've got a late start on the tube, so we're going to run a little late tonight on purpose. Make sure we get everybody checked in that wants to check in. So Thanks for that. Let me do a couple of acknowledgments here. If I can get the control room back on, for some reason, if I get the radios working, then the video doesn't work. Get the video working, then the radio doesn't work. But now, sometimes they all come together. I want to say hello to SWL78. That's the first thing. Let me get Richard checked in from Wild Wildemar, probably warm Wildemar. We had a nice weather up here in Central California today. Also, who else I didn't want to say hello to? Foxman 362 says that Chattanooga Tube Radio Night, that's roostering in Cleveland, Tennessee, about 60 miles from where he is. And he's in a CB radio called Smoky Mountain Skip Chasers on channel 26. And also want to give a shout out to UDX 362 Foxman for his tube channel radio that he does. I wonder if I get some audio. Lots of skip. This is from a couple weeks ago. And you can hear what it sounds like.
Hey, Rich, brother, tell Rooster Foxman can hear his tube radios up in Rockwood, Tennessee. He's sounding good at 5 pounds between 7
so
up here
there
on
it
my
is.
game.
So they got the pipeline, so make sure you check out Foxman and the Rooster, and that's on YouTube. You can look for Foxman 362 Worldwide Radio and join in on that if you dare. The Old Tube Radio Network, real radio's going in the dark. I'm just wondering if the Jingle Singers are ready once again. Is it time? No, they said they can do something. Somebody can do something. You're listening to it's time to dance. Get out your cha-cha shoes.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
All right, we're staying open a few minutes later tonight. Looking for Radio 4 or 5, or whoever might be out there, the Old Tube Radio Network.
60.
60. I'm not gonna hang out too much. We're gonna put you in right now. You're in the air chair. Take a transmission.
Thank you much, Dennis. I'd like to check in my 223 Johnson Messenger 223.
All right, I'm getting all my cables tangled up here. I'm going to evolve a third arm, I think, to get everything on at the same time. Let me see. All right, we're there. We're back in the control room. I'm kind of undisheveled and dapper. We're going to go to the Rolodex, look for, Edgar F. I think it was E.F. Edgar Fitzgerald Johnson, back in the 1920s or so, when he started the E.F. Johnson Company, back when radios were these big wooden boxes and tubes and crystals or whatever they were. They were pieces of furniture for semi-wealthy people and sort of a status symbol. But things progressed, and the Messenger 223 was their top-of-the-line radio for 1968, 69, and I guess 68, 69, and 70, before they decided to go solid state. I've got a picture, and we're going to go back to you to give us the sound.
Roger. Doggone it, Dennis. There aren't very many features on this radio. Volume and the quality. A good beginner's radio. Good beginner's radio. Has a well-lit meter light, a channel selector, and a real nice big speaker. So a guy doesn't have to say, well, I can't really hear the radio. There's no doubt you're going to hear this one. No fancy features like there's no anything to boost the modulation, turn up the RF gain. Not a whole lot of stuff on here. 10 tubes, all 23 channels, and an original stock mic, desk mic, and that's basically what it has to offer.
And that is what you needed to get on the air with your Class D citizen radio service. Sean was talking about 12, 15 knobs. It's sort of like the difference between a flip phone is like you open up, look, it's a phone. I can dial. And then whatever everybody carries around today, there's a phone somewhere in this thing. Let me swipe my finger. Let me press this button. Let me put in a code. Let me go over here. Now let me find the phone. Now let me find the pad. You know, it's still a phone, but there's just all this ways to get to it. Whatever happened to the nice little, when you're talking about electronics, flip phone? This was the flip phone and the radios. Give me what I need. I need to change the channel. I need to turn it on. I need to get rid of skipland with the squelch control. And then I need to say KEO 8492 base to unit 1 and let them know on the way home we're going to pick up a loaf of bread. And that was the FCC's dream Class D 11-meter citizen radio service. So much for that, right? There was one or two people that actually did that. No, more than that. But it was a solid-built radio, E.F. Johnson, building boat anchor transmitters with 100 pounds and 100 watts and kind of toning it down. So you know it was good stuff. Plus, the cool thing was they had the matching desk mic for an extra $15 to plug right in. So you could look like you knew what you were doing, right?
Yeah, doggone it. You know, Dennis, it's driving a regular car compared to a Porsche. The only thing you're missing is the power and all the fancy knobs, but they both go the same way, forward and backward. Doggone it, yeah, Dennis, this is a nice radio, a good beginner's radio, something you can be proud of, too. When you got it in your hand and you're looking at it and all that good stuff, it makes you feel good. Okay, Dennis, I got another one warmed up, and I want to thank you for letting me check this one in.
From E.F. Johnson, the Messenger 223, that was the last in the series of the Viking, the Johnson Messenger, the Messenger 1. They didn't really call it the 1, but the 1959 version where they had the 12-volt, the 6-volt, and then the Messenger 2 with some improvements, and then the 223, which was the Messenger 2 stuffed in the case, turn it sideways, add a meter, put some channels in it, maybe make a few little, kitchen shelf corrections, and you're good to go. You've spanned an entire decade with 3 radios that were well built, and there's still a lot of them around today because they sold a lot of them. The price point, E.F. Johnson was able to keep that price point down that made it affordable if you wanted to get in. Okay, well, he's checking on the radio. I want to make a couple of comments before they scroll off the screen. Yeah, Larry, I hear you. Walkie-talkie 1 to walkie-talkie 2, we did that. How far down the street and up the hill can you go with your telescopic antenna before we can't hear you speaking into the supplied speaker microphonium? I know. Let's add some wire to the fishing pole. Maybe we can make an antenna. Colt K. Interesting. Says, hey, Dennis, you should start an old tube ham radio net night on 10-meter AM. Of course, it would have to be during the day. And I want to say we did that. This would be 20 years ago. We've been doing this for almost 40 years. So this has been 2, not 1, but 2 solar cycles ago. Because it was the early 2000s. A lot of that, couple of stations had just got their ham radio licenses. And so what we did on Sunday afternoon, after the net, we would go to 29, I kid you not, 29085, 29085, and it was Kevin, Jim, and myself, and we would go up there and we just start a conversation with lots of time in between the key-ups on 10-meter AM, and just sort of wait for some stations to come in to see the signal, like, look, somebody's here in the AM window. And that kind of worked because the band was open. It was, what are we in, cycle 25? So that was 23. Cycle 25 has been so disappointing for 10-meter AM for contacts like that. So I don't know. Before 25 goes away, maybe we'll do that more. This antenna that I just fixed really plays well on 10. So that was always fun. We went to 29085. It was off the window at 2900. And a couple of us just start chatting, leave lots of time, and you know someone's going to fire up that Collins or, the Johnson, whatever they had, and get on 10 meters and do a little rag chew that way. But Sounds good. We'll have to do more of that. It's just the band has been really lousy. And I'm not making excuses, but it's just we did try it, and it would work out good. It's sort of like fishing. You throw the line out there and you see what you can catch. Where are we going? Oh, I want to say, Joe, you're probably ready. Take a transmission on whatever you got. Over. Joe's hooking up the coax. The old tube radio jingle singers are ready to go.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
OTR listening? I've lost my pen. It's gone somewhere. Down into the abyss. The guy with the pocket protector, you can't find the pen, right? Here's one that could work. OTR listening will be counting and amounting soon. And, fixing the antenna, I think there were some grounding issues, too. I have a lot less static than I've got extra 20 dB of preamp turned on. You can hear a little bit of the static. It could be picking up garbage around the QTH here, but there you go. And you antenna people out there already know this, but probably reseating the connections and making sure that the ground connections and the radials were all where they should be has helped a lot. It's helped a lot on the noise, just the general noise situation. That goes to show you that all that stuff they say is true. It's all math. Get the wavelengths going. OTR listening.
Question.
This is the question frequency. Go ahead, over.
I have a VFO, external VFO, and I have a Lafayette Comstat 23 Mark V, and the Comstat radio is missing all of its crystals on the top. Will the VFO work with that radio?
Oh, I wish it's the 23 Mark V. You know who would know is probably S9 radio, Greg, who actually produces such radios. It's at Sam's CB23, page 69. So if it's Sam's CB23, the thing to do would be to find out. I bet it's running synthesized crystals, so if you can, pop in, if it's got a, 7 megahertz multiplier. I don't know, what multipliers they use for, like, say, a Regency Imperial, the Brownings. He makes the VFOs, but he would know. All 6-volt tubes, by the way, 6BQ5, 12AX7 in the mic amp. That's a tube complement. So the thing to do is find out where's that crystal thing you're going to pull out and then put that in for the VFO. Would you think that would make sense?
Yeah, and it doesn't have any crystals on the top, so and it's a 23 channel radio. But I don't know. I may just have to find another parts radio or something to get it going.
Yeah, and Larry, what radio are you on right now? Sounding good.
I'm on my Kenwood TSA 50.
On the 850. All right. I don't know. Maybe you're running. I think those will do wideband AM, and I am listening. I've got the bandwidth opened up to like 8K, 10K plus, and now I'm on the right filter. We're not rolling off anything, so what you hear is what you get. All right, someone had questions. Say, "Ooh, that guy sounds good," and he does. Some of the low-level modulated AM radios that usually can't hold a candle to what we've been hearing tonight, the plate modulated AM. You can do pretty good with it. You're just running the stock microphone, right?
No, I am not running a stock microphone. I'm running the Turner Expander 500 microphone, and it's been modified for excellent sound.
Yeah, just it's very, very present, very bright. Not a lot of lows, but this is AM. You don't want to, get too much of the boom. Your sizzling sausages and your orange furniture sound good. All right, well, hopefully we will find out. But again, the SAMs, it's CB23. I guess that's book 23, page 69. Might have that information. And if we're ever joined by S9, that's WikiWhack, Greg out there in Big Bear, I bet he could answer that question. He might even say, here's the VFO that you want. So there you go. I'm going to take a pause. I know we got one more radio probably from Joe before we sign out tonight, and we want to pick that up. So thanks for jumping in. And Joe, have you connected the coax over? Well, I'm going to do some counting and amounting. I was really hoping that perhaps we would have a little bit of the E-skip coming in tonight, but I know Rob is listening in Colorado. Larry is out there listening. Dwayne and Chrissy are listening. We've got some stations up in Washington, and it looks like it's going to be a no-go. But that's okay. I'm back in a moment. Your old Tube Radio Network last call for radio check-ins.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
And John 102 says he's got a Comstat 23 Mark V parts radio. Well, John, I think that's sort of what Larry has, unless he can find a VFO for that. And then without transmitting, maybe it would still be a parts radio with a VFO attached. Who knows? Last call for radio check-ins, your old Tube Radio Network.
60.
Hey, you made it, Joe. I have a spot for you. It looks like Radio 5. Over.
Yeah, well, doggone it, we were on the other one, on Johnson TOO. But didn't get any response from you, so I might have lost something somewhere in the connection. So we jumped on this one from World Radio Labs. Dennis, I'd like to check in my Hustler radio.
All right, we can do that. Yeah, I didn't hear any key ups. I wasn't transmitting, so hopefully it was on. Sometimes I always get tricky with the transmitter-receiver matchups, but boy, that's sounding nice and loud, and I do have, and I will find the picture of the World Radio Labs Hustler, another jump over. You know, E.F. Johnson Company making radios and jumping into the Class D 11-meter citizen radio service, and World Radio Labs, WRL from Globe, Leo Meyerson doing likewise with this beauty of a 5-watt DC inputted crystal controlled, what is it called? The Hustler. Take a transmission.
That's right there, Dennis. Doggone it. Pretty little radio. Pretty blue one. Not exactly the green one that you wanted for tonight. But doggone it, looking at it with a squelch and volume and a few extra little knickknacks on it. Doggone it, it also has a little crystal slot for possibly, maybe someday, putting channel 11 in there. But since we have it on the radio here, we're going to go with it. Doggone it, has a carrying handle. It has the mic hanger on it. And it has a little work been done. I mean, it has some work done to the microphone end of it, to the mic plug, to the connector there. It come off the bottom, and Harvey installed it in the front. I'm on a Turner Plus 2. Oh, I'm sorry, Turner Plus 3. Powered microphone, and that'll do it for me there, Dennis.
Sounding good on the Turner Plus 3. I wouldn't put any more audio into that. You're pushing it to its limits, but it sounds good. The little Hustler that could, I bet it would sound great with the little blue microphonium that sometimes we get to hear. We talked about 11-tube radios. There was a way to pull a couple of tubes out of that Panasonic chassis like they did on the Canadian version, on the Spitfire Marks XL, to get 9 tubes. And the Tex at World Radio Lab says, let us go 2 tubes further, and maybe we can run them on 7 tubes, which they did. And you can see it's none the worse for wear. It works pretty good and sounds good as well. You've got this one fired up and working well on channel 11. And we will look for the Mark II next week. I bet it's something simple, like maybe the channel selector didn't engage correctly or something like that, but we will get that in because the other radio always plays well. This is radio number 5, the World Radio Labs Hustler, a rare radio indeed. Not just because it's blue, just because there aren't that many around, and we've got one of the few right here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks. Anybody else? The Old Tube Radio Network. All right, they're giving the sign. I put in my extra half hour of time so we get a full hour of radios. Mr. Announcer and the Jingle Singers are at the microphonium to do this.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals tonight. What is it? It's Saturday, March 22nd is what I've got on the Tube Radio list here, and the meter's up high. We're back. Looks like the audio's okay. I think the stream audio is a little bit lower this week. I'm running a different system into the stream that's supposed to be more efficient, but for some reason it's really hard to get the amount of full audio I would like. So if you have to turn your volume controls up a wee bit more, it's because I'm sending a wee bit less. You can see that little number on the Orban LKFS meter. Actually about 5 dB less, so hopefully that's not a problem. Anyway, thanks for joining us, the Old Tube Radio Network. One of the many, if you go on YouTube and across the globe, get on the air things that's been happening. Ours has been going on for a long, long time, thanks to our dedicated tube radio operators who keep us supplied with never-ending tube stuff. Keep us on the air. That's a good thing. SWL tonight. You don't have to be on any list. I always say that. Don't have to be on any list to join us and join in. 20 check-ins from page 1. 19 on page 2. Can't even read my writing. Here's that 29. No, it's 19. It's 20 on page 1, 19 on page 2, 18 on page 3, and 26 on page 4. Page 4 is doing good tonight for a total of 85, it says, and 6 radios, the most heard manufacturer. I think we got one of those 6-way ties going on. Started with the Tram TR27. Wait a minute, that's the wrong. Is this from? That's from last week. Where did that come from? Take 2. 5 radios tonight. The most heard radio manufacturer yet again was a 5-way tie. We did not start with the Tram TR27E. We started with the Cardone Spitfire Mark XL, the Canadian tube radio. We'll have to have Canada tonight. Sing "Oh Canada" and make sure we check in the Gonset, and there was a couple other ones that had some Canadian flair going on. But here's the big one, the Cardone Spitfire Mark XL with its 9 tubes, Panasonic chassis. Thank you, Cliff, for that. Yeah, see, I'm reading off the run. This is the March 22nd list. Sean and Sanger, it is good to be able to hear everybody now that I braved the roof and did a little antenna work, which leads me to believe that not only do I need to do more antenna work, but I need to get a new antenna and put it way up in the sky so we can hear even more people. Let's go to the Demco satellite. Talk about more tubes, more knobs, just more of everything. If you want more, look for one of these. The Demco satellite CB1 from Sean out in Sanger, putting it a good item of interest, as well as radio number 3, the Cobra Cam 88, also good audio as well. So, Sean, if you can check those out, I know you will be happy with what you hear. Cobra Cam 88, and followed up by the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. Radio ham guy, Larry, worked at the Johnson plant in the 1980s and said they were very proud of that radio. He said if you can keep the crystals on frequency, you've got a great machine. And indeed, that was proven tonight. Thank you, Joe, and also thanks for the World Radio Labs Hustler. You're listening and viewing and do whatever you're doing to the Old Tube Radio Network. Get on the air where you are, some way, somehow, and we will should be back here next week. Same tube time, same tube channel. We're channel 1127-085, and I don't know if I'm around. I've got the Stardust. The Starduster fires up really good, really well, I should say, on 10 meter, better than 11 meter. Doesn't need the tuner, so I may try it on 29085. But I really think, in fact, I'm going to check right now with the band conditions, the A and K index. I have a feeling that 10 and 15 and 20 meters are just going to be really bad. Yeah, the A is 33, the K is 4. All of the bands are showing fair to poor conditions. It was that way today. So I'll go and listen. It's just, I don't think it's going to be a good day for DX. There's SFI 178, sunspot numbers at 77, but the geomagnetic field is active. So it might be a good day for some local. Yeah, you get on the air with your 100 milliwatt walkie-talkie. Where was it? Walkie-talkie 1 to walkie-talkie 2. Now it's time for bring out the 100 milliwatt stations and get on the bike and talk to your buddy down the street. 73 from the Old Tube Radio Network. We will catch you next week. And don't forget to feed the fish. Over. It's paperwork.
I'm changing the hard drive in my Marantz CDR recorder. Hopefully I'll never have to do this ever again.
Marantz CDR recorders. Marantz still making stuff? I was just, looking at some video where somebody was overhauling their Marantz stereo from the mid or late 1960s. Obviously, that is not a late 1960s thing you're doing.
Actually, it's mid 90s. Yeah, it's the CDR 420. It was the last portable recorder that could burn CDs in the field.
So, are you having trouble finding a replacement part for it?
Oh no, I'm changing the hard drive so I can have some more record time on it.
But you found some compatible item?
Yeah. I'm putting in an 80 gigabyte hard drive.
Uh-oh, well that'll take you back to the future.
Yeah, what it comes with is a 20 gigabyte, and what I found in it was a 40 gigabyte. So now it's going to have an 80 gigabyte, and hopefully it'll recognize it and format it, all that good stuff. Anywho, yeah, the inside of it is just a magnificent display of artistic electronics.